Hello, everybody. So today we are here. Okay, damn. Nah, how do you do this? I should make that the intro.
This is that once in a lifetime.
I don't feel like I can introduce you in a way that's, any better than you could. So, Connor, who are you and what are you known for?
Okay, so my name is Connor. I go by Tidmouth Thunderbolt online, Tidmouth Thunder on Twitter because there's a limit for the amount of characters I have in my username. So you can call me whatever. I am the author of Sodor Fallout, a horror mystery series, I guess you could say. It's an alternate universe of Thomas and Friends where some sketchy stuff goes down. Nuclear power plant was built. That goes off, and people are trying to figure out what the hell's going on, how the hell they can escape, and if there's anyone behind it.
You already know, unfortunately, like most of the questions are gonna be about that. But
no worries.
Before we get into that, though, I want to know where exactly did you start in Thomas? And who's your favorite character? Where did you begin in Thomas as a whole?
Okay, so if I'm correct, I got into Thomas when I was 3 years old because my dad bought me the wooden railway figure 8 set with the lifting bridge. I still have all the pieces for that actually, except I broke the bridge, but that's still in storage somewhere. If I'm correct, my very first DVD tape, VHS, whatever it was, I think it was the Thomas Winter Wonderland set. Not set, the DVD. Because I still have the old case. It's the worst. It's the case that I have that's in the worst condition. The CD works fine, but that thing is just almost destroyed. Now, I'm guessing people also want to know my favorite character.
If they don't, I do. So
it's a tie between. Actually, no, it's not a tie. Definitely Stepney, and then followed by Oliver.
I was gonna say Oliver has to be one of them. knowing your series.
Basically, there's something really endearing about their size and shape because it's they're small and unusual, I guess you could say. Because when you think of a tank engine, you usually think of an 060, 6 wheels, 6 driving wheels. Okay.
Right. As a kid, it was hard for me to distinguish. Tall. Personally, it was hard for me to distinguish Stepney as a tank engine because of how different he looked, from Thomas as a child,
Yeah, even the people that ran the show, but did the merchandise thought he was a narrow gauge engine sometimes.
I mean, yeah, that's
kind of funny to me. Yeah.
What is your favorite brand of merchandising, though? Would it be?
Oh God, this is one I changed a lot. Because if you asked me this when I was a kid, I would have said Wooden Railway because that's the stuff I collected.
Right.
And if you asked me a year later, it would have been the Tomy Road and Rail, which is also known as Trackmaster or Play Rail. And I would have said that until 3 years ago. And then I just stopped collecting it for a while. And now I have no clue because I don't collect any of them except, I guess Hornby and Bachman now.
I was about to say you're a modeler. You've stepped into the modeling scene.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing some really interesting models. So I've done my diorama model, which I'm going to make a video on that sometime. And I'm thinking about making a rail car, but a steam version. So it's got side rods and stuff like that.
When is the world going to get a layout update?
Oh, I'm actually doing a video about Edgar, which is my newest engine I got.
Right, the one you got from Marvin.
Yeah. I'm doing a video about him, and after that, I think I'll do a layout video, the very first one, because it's still under construction. Because I had to rip up every single piece of track. Because the connecting pieces, I forgot what they're called.
The joiners.
The joiners. Yeah, there's an actual word for it. I just forgot. But those ones usually are too wide because they were used so much. so they don't even like have a tight connection anymore. So I
Right.
had to take out, replace them all. Then I found out some of the tracks had corroded over time, so I had to replace those. And I ran out of tracks. I ran out of connectors. So I'm just missing half of my main line. But thankfully, I have one track out of the two going all the way around.
What track do you use?
Honestly, I just use Atlas. It's the cheapest stuff. It's basically the only stuff I can find around here because that's the only stuff my that and the Backman Easy Track is the only stuff that my my hobby house near me supplies.
Right.
So they also supply Kato, but that's N scale, so I can't really use that.
Right. And ordering Kato HO, I know from experience, is just not fucking worth it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, my layout was actually gifted to me because someone down the street from me actually used to own it, the entire thing. And lo and behold, guess what his name was? Oliver. And it's actually engraved in the side of the table, too.
That is sick.
So basically, I just added some changes. I added an extra track in the back to allow for platform for a station, a bunch of sidings in the front, and my newest addition to the layout would be a rail crossing, which has been quite a bit of trouble for some of my engines because they keep hitting the barrier and flying off the tracks.
Is that the video you sent me?
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons of the position that you're in, or at least that you found? Because, I mean, pretty quickly you became your household, at least in the terms of the Thomas and Friends fandom. Everybody knows who Tidmouth Thunderbolt is, Sodor Fallout. And what is that like?
Yeah.
Man?
It's weird having something bigger than myself, like something I made. People know my thing more than they know me, and that's kind of scary to think about.
Right. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, I saw Sodor Fallout. I mean, before I knew who you were directly. You know, I hate to admit that.
Don't worry about it.
I was one of those guys.
One, you got people that actually care about you. Like they see your series, they're like, "Oh, this is cool," and then they actually start watching your content and they start caring about you as a person.
Right.
So then when I like talking about stuff on a server, they come over, DM me, like, "Hey, are you okay, man?" And I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, chill." Thanks, man. And then you got other people that are just like trying to support you and like make fan art, which is freaking awesome. Honestly, I never thought this stuff would like get as big as it did, and it's just amazing to know that I have such a loyal fan base. But there's also some downsides. Like you got the people like when I'm playing Roblox, people like randomly join my games and ask, "Hey, you're the author, right?" And I'm like, "Yep."
Oh, you can't even escape it in Roblox, dude.
Yeah, it's like, "Where's Dennis?"
You know,
like,
90% of the questions that people asked are about characters in Sodor Fallout, and I just chose one. Because it's one that somebody asked that I was like, damn, that's a good one. I kind of want to know that too. So I've narrowed those out.
I'll answer any of them.
That's a bet.
Right.
So what exactly was your inspiration to make Sodor Fallout? Like, what started, the entire story process?
Okay, so back in 2019, I was obsessed with Chernobyl, and I'm gonna lay it down flat. I love creepy shit.
Right.
Like, you've seen the stuff I've made besides Fallout. I love weirdcore, oddcore, horror, body horror, all that stuff. I just love seeing weird shit. And Chernobyl fascinated me for like the entire summer back in 2019. And I was like, you know what? Shed 17 is kind of old now. I want to try something. And
One thing led to another.
One thing led to another. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. This will be fun. And the reason why I wanted to start it in the first place was a user named the Fuel Tanker. He sadly terminated. He deleted his account, but he's still active on Discord apparently. He did an edit, and it was of Diesel. And if I'm correct, it was like he had a bunch of holes in his face. I'll post a recreation I tried doing in the chat.
Oh wow! I've never seen that before.
I tried recreating it like just today, but I was fascinated by that, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I realized, Chernobyl, that shit infected animals. What if it affected trains? And then the plot thickened from there. I originally started on a Google Doc, and then I had too many people like asking me to give them access. So then I just went like, you know what? I'll put it on a Wattpad, and I did that a while back. And then I started. Well, not when I started. I started posting the edits as well when I was updating the logs, and that's when it started taking off on Twitter. And then I took a hiatus from it, like at the end of 2019 for almost an entire, well, not almost an entire year. It was for at least 6 to 7 months, and then I revisited it in summer this year, and then that's when it started actually blowing up even more. Because back in 2019, if you were to Google Sodor Fallout on YouTube, there would only be like 8 videos. But then after the pandemic, well, that's probably going to get you demonetized, so you might want to censor that word. I don't know.
The pandemic? Will it actually?
I don't know. Maybe.
Pandemic. I'm gonna risk it.
After recent world events, and when I started updating it, it actually blew up to the point where if you search, like Steven Sodor Modeler showed me this in a tweet. If you search up Sodor on on YouTube, more than half of the results that autofill out are Sodor Fallout.
That's insane. Like, it's hard for me to imagine a time where Sodor Fallout was not popular, you know? And I was in the fandom well before that. It's just like, you know, with how popular it has become, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's insane, honestly.
How do you have the constant idea stream that comes to you? Has this been something that's been thought up for a long time and you're just slowly putting it out there? Or is it something that, you know, comes to you, you get a new idea and you're like, oh, I have to put this in the new update? Or
Well, it's actually a very complicated question to answer because the original plot for Fallout back in 2019 is much, much different than what it is right now. And I'll probably like release a quote-unquote director's cut sometime. But the ending originally was really stupid and dumb. So I'm happy that I actually changed it into something, well, that I think people will like. But to answer your question about main like ideas, if we're talking mutations and shit, I actually had to look up real life images of people with disfigured bodies and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're like connected to this.
Oh, yeah. Like the Percy one, that one I tried to make realistic. And
I was going to say,
it was something.
So with how much you've put into Sodor Fallout, like at this point, is there, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit, like on our own time, but how much longer exactly can people who are interested in the series expect the series to be going on for? Like, can this be something that they can expect throughout the rest of the year? Anything like that?
It's going to end this year. I can tell you that for sure. I have the ending. I have the rest of the story planned out. There's still things that are going to happen. Like, there's still characters that I haven't shown. One or two. One's going to hand a helping hook. That's all I'll say.
Ooh.
But yeah. Just wait and see. I have...
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Character reveal. It's going to be like a Smash Bros. DLC reveal. Everyone's going to go crazy.
Dude, forget Steve. Forget Steve.
Forget Steve.
We don't need
Forget
him.
Violet. Forget everyone. We want the hook.
We want the hook.
That's all we want. We
So-
just want hook.
Just hook. Now that Sodor Fallout is like in the position it's in, you know, and it's so big, looking back, is there anything that you would change about it? You know, or like how you released it?
Definitely. The one thing that I've hated looking back on it right now is the red haze in the sky in the first few edits. Because
That of all things, that was not what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah, I know. It's every time I look back at it, it just looks dumb. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was probably thinking like, oh, explosion, red sky. No, dumbass. That means it would be darker. Well, originally I was thinking like the explosions actually like bring the light, like they would be the main source of light in an explosion. So that's why everything around it would be darkened. So I was thinking that originally.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah. But for the rewrite, there was, that's why I probably took a long time off during like half of 2020, because I was thinking about like, you know what? Originally this was just for the the weird shit. I want this to be better, and I improved upon it. I shot some ideas back and forth between some people, and I was like, you know what? I got this. I can make this better. And apparently I did, because a lot of people like it now.
I was about to say, it's the biggest thing in the fandom, arguably. So, being where you're at, what are your favorite and least favorite aspects of the fandom?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious what my least favorite parts are. The endless drama. Well, it's not endless, but there's quite a bit of it.
Right, especially if you're on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
That is quite ridiculous.
That's one of my least favorite parts. My favorite parts are the people, because I've actually met a whole slew of people. Like I could throw a list about how many people I've met on here that are really nice. You would be on there. But like, there's just so many people, so many different characters that you can just talk to, make friends. It's just an experience you have to go through.
Right.
It's amazing. I swear, people like nowadays on Twitter, they're just bringing up stuff just for the sake of like starting an argument.
It really is. This is like the last question I have that's from me directly. The rest are going to be like fan questions after this one. But I personally want to know this. Who inspired you to step into the fandom like you did? Like, was there any YouTuber, any YouTube videos, any Twitter user, Instagram user, anything like that that made you, want to step into the fandom in the way that you are now?
Because I'm trying to remember. I had an Instagram account way back, like 2014. I started posting about trains and shit. But then I didn't get a Twitter account until let me check. I think it was February 2017. And definitely the person who inspired me on getting a Twitter account was Unlucky Tug Nick, because he had some great content on there.
Right.
I was just like going on. It was just a nice thing to look at. You just see all these people having new merch, funny memes, and I'm like, there should be other people on here. And then I discovered Sam the Train Fan, an Australian or New Zealand user, and a bunch of other people. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the dive. And I did. And I wasn't that popular on there at the time. For like 2 years, I was always like 600 followers.
Right.
And
which is still pretty big. That's still pretty,
That's still pretty good. And then Fallout hit. And then that's the sound of my followers just
zooming up, right? Sadly. Okay, so these I tried to narrow down the fan questions, as much as I could from things that you probably haven't, already answered before. What do you use to cure your writer's block whenever you're trying to come up with new ideas for Sodor Fallout?
I have multiple ideas. One, if I don't feel like writing Sodor Fallout, I'll just write an original story. That's what I did for Self-Smelt, not a horror story. It's like a Halloween-styled episode that I wrote up, season 5 style. That was one of the things I did when I just didn't want to write Sodor Fallout. I was like, what's another story I could do? And that was that. 2, I just listened to a lot of music. I listen to Ghost. They're an electronic artist. They do Vocaloid style music, I guess you could say. And just a bunch of other artists. And for my third way I do it, I just watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Nothing much about that. I just watch to see what other people do, listen to original stories. One's by Mike, the Buried Truck. His stories are what keeps me going sometimes, because his stories are like absolutely great.
This one literally just came in on Twitter, and I kind of like it, so I'm going to ask it anyway. Please ask him when his Sona's getting his own anime or JoJo part.
Oh my god. I'm guessing that's from Gabriella.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, I was thinking about commissioning someone to do like an animation for my Sona. I don't know if many people know about my Sona, but they will in like 2 months.
There are some questions about him, so they will by the end of this.
Great.
Is Thomas and the Magic Railroad canon in your alternate universe or the Sodor Fallout universe? I imagine with the most recent update, that kind of answers it, but...
Technically yes and technically no. There are some aspects that are and some aspects that aren't. Characters from the show or from the movie, Like Boomer and Diesel 10, they're in it, but they're drastically different. Diesel 10 was built by a Boomer, and something that I will reveal in my next vlog, but what the hell, I'll do it now. PT Boomer, or Peter Theodore Boomer, as I like to call him in the story, is the creator of most of the diesels from British Rail.
Ooh.
At the time, and he was the main person to supply Topham in the early days of the railway with diesels. And he was actually not a nice kind of person. He did some illegal experiments on engines, like putting a smoke box door face on the interior of an engine instead of the exterior, and seeing what would happen to their face, and a bunch of other ones that I would rather not spoil. But
You've got me. You're a genius, dude. I love the direction in which you've taken, like, not only that universe, but just the ideas that you've come up with for it. It really is inspirational, man.
Thank you. I like to rethink characters that aren't as good as what the canon has. Like Boomer, all we know is that he just, in the original cut, all we know is that he just didn't like not Peter Fonda, what's his name? Brunette Stone.
And steam trains.
He just didn't like either of those two.
Right. He was a human diesel.
Yeah. I want to give he was a human diesel. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I just want to give characters more depth. Well, in Diesel 10's case, I did not, because I don't want to spoil it. He's basically a punching bag.
Right. That'll come soon. Later, ladies and gentlemen. Later. You're not ready for it. Just trust me. Let it stew a little longer. So what happened to the other narrow gauge engines? I know I had to ask you what happened to Skarloey recently, because I didn't know. And for those who don't know, yes, he gets messed up along the journey to a station, I believe.
I really want to tell, but I can't. I really just can't.
Oh, okay. For the people who at least don't know about Skarloey, because that one was pretty obscure to me. I was honestly pretty surprised to see that question get as many upvotes as it did. Can you explain a little bit more what exactly his canon in Sodor Fallout is? Because I know that there's not like a log directly about him. It's more on your Twitter.
Yeah, I just couldn't find a place to where I could really input it, honestly, because it was mainly from the perspective of the driver instead of like a log format. So I just never put it anywhere. But basically, the way Skarloey does is that he's just having a journey, normal journey. It's a little cloudy. Then something snaps, starts getting a little weird. His face is slurring to the side. It's like a stroke almost. It's like kind of like dragon.
Right.
And he's like,
I've said that so much.
He's in pain a little bit, but he keeps going, and it just gets worse and worse. And then when he gets to the station, his body's crooked, like in the 4 old engines, I think it was. He's broken. His eyes. I think his eye is like he's missing a pupil. I think it was. Let me check. It's been a while since I even saw those photos.
Right.
Let me check. Yeah, he's missing a pupil. His smile is stretching. He's got like strands of skin stretching across his mouth as it like stretches out, ripping through the skin. And his driver takes it the wrong way and puts it out of his misery. But I didn't say this. But since people now know the engines are conscious during all this, he was just screaming for help. He wasn't actually demonic.
Wow.
So basically, he killed Skarloey even though he was still perfectly fine. He was a little bit in pain, but he was still the same Skarloey.
Wow. I was about to say, recently in the newest update, you revealed that or if you haven't revealed this yet, I'll cut it. The drivers administer a shot to the locomotive, and that is what, causes the mutation. Is that what happened with Skarloey as well? And then the driver just, not wanting...
I guess I'll say this right now. It was the fireman.
Oh, wow.
He did it behind his back and realized the wrong.
Wow. So he realized that what they were doing was wrong and then did it? Or is this tying into the...
He was part of Boomer's crew, basically. He was getting paid to do this. Big bucks. But then after he injected it and saw his favorite engine slowly going. He just couldn't bear to look at it anymore. And he let his driver, just suffer with him and just put him out of his misery.
That is, man, the more I find out about this series and that you reveal, it just gets crazier.
I got something big. All I'll say is there's going to be a confrontation.
Oh boy. With everything you've said before, I can only freaking imagine, dude. So, this one I know is a bit weird, but I guess when I saw it, I also was a bit curious. How many beasts are there? And why haven't you tried audio recording?
So there's only going to be one monster. There was only one monster from the start. There's only one beast, one Oliver, whatever you like to call it.
Right.
I don't care.
Oliver. That's my first time hearing that. That's genius.
Oh my god, that was a thing back in like 2019. It was like, oh, he ate a person. Oliver.
Dude, it works so well.
Suffering. Shut up. And what was the other part of the question? I forgot.
Why haven't you tried audio recording? Or somebody asked why you haven't recorded, I guess what they're trying to say is the audio yourself, like in an audiobook format?
Easy. 2 reasons. 1, I hate my voice. 2, I want to make the reader, the viewer of the video or whatever, imagine that they're in the place of the driver. I want them to read it in the voice they think would be best.
Right. That is smart.
I want them to be put in the situation, because they're reading the logbook from the first hand. So I want them to feel more immersed instead of hearing someone read it themselves. So I want them to read it.
That kind of ties into the next question a little bit. Do you feel with how large Sodor Fallout has gotten that something has been lost in it?
A little bit, yes. Because it was originally a passion project. Well, it still is a bit. But now it's more like it's gotten to the point where it's a bit too big, in my opinion. It's becoming the next Shed 17. And from the amount of people who I know in the fandom don't like Shed 17, probably don't like Fallout. And I'm fine with that, actually. I know there's a lot of people that don't like horror, and that's fine. I was talking to Toad Train on Twitter today, and he's like saying, like, no offense, man, I just don't like it. And I'm like, that's fine, man. Completely fine. We all have our different tastes. But yeah, I feel like there has been a bit of magic lost, because it was originally like something small that just at the time an unknown user was making, just because he felt like it.
Right, but
now it's different, I guess.
I mean, when you do anything, literally in the fandom, there's going to be somebody who has something to say about it, even if it's just breathing. And that's kind of like what me and Turtles and Thomas Brady were joking about in that one little clip we made for Twitter.
Like strawberry.
Literally, there's always going to be somebody who thinks that there's something better or that could be done better, or something like that.
Yeah, up until recently, I have not had a good time taking back like negative feedback or just feedback in general. And then I took a moment and I realized, like, you know what? Nah, I need to change the way I'm thinking. So that's when I just realized people might not always like the stuff I like. I might not always like the stuff other people say about my stuff, but that's fine. Everyone has different tastes.
Right, that's not the people you make the content for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I promise you, we appreciate your content.
Thanks, man.
So with the reboot now imminent, are you still interested in Thomas and Friends in the way that you used to be?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't seen a single episode past season 21. So I'm more interested in the old stuff. I haven't seen like any new content from the show in the past 3 years, give or take, 2 or 3 years, around there. So I'm back when like 2016, 2015, when the new episodes were coming out, I was still watching. That was a different time.
Right.
Even back like when Bulgy was reintroduced, I was in the shower at the time. I dropped my phone in the shower. I don't think I'll ever get to experience that like shock of a new character being revealed ever again.
That's kind of how it was for me when the Arlesdale engines came back, but...
You were in the shower and you dropped your phone too?
I wish. That would have been a lot more fun.
No, it wouldn't have been. There would have been water in your phone. That would have been bad.
Well, I mean, depends on the phone you had. Was it waterproof?
No.
Oh, man.
Cracked.
In the shower. That's double bad.
Yeah, I had to put it in rice.
So what is your favorite episode of Thomas and Friends?
Oh, God. I haven't thought of that. Jesus. I don't know. I haven't thought of that. I have thought of that before, but I actually have never come to a conclusion.
It's a hard question to answer.
It is. I really don't know. I don't think there is a favorite episode. I have a favorite season. That's season 5. Just because of the way engines are depicted. Specifically Percy. Percy in season 5 is my favorite.
That counts. We can count season 5.
Yeah, season 5.
Season 5, but specifically Percy is his favorite Thomas and Friends episode. Perfect. Do you plan to go further with your sonar or animations for your Sona?
Oh, totally. Like, as some people know, I'm getting a VTuber model.
Right, I was about to say, I know the answer to this one.
Yes. So,
I've seen it. Y'all aren't ready for that either. Oops.
I can post the work in progress in the chat right here, so people can actually see it if you put it in the video. There. That's a work in progress. And the reason why I'm getting this done is because, one, I'm very camera shy. I just don't like my camera. I just don't like having my face on, I guess.
Right.
So this, A, makes me feel more confident, and B, just looks cool because I get to bring my character to life.
I was about to say, we talked a little bit about this too, but I mean, like, it's got to be such a cool feeling, you know, to actually get the animation software to see this character which you've created actually become a, you know, living, almost, you know, moving character. Living through you, I guess.
Basically, it is me now.
Right, it might as well be. Is there any other series that once Sodor Fallout is done that you're planning on making? Is Sodor Fallout your magnus opus, or can we expect other, you know...
It's definitely going to be the magnum opus. There's nothing I make is going to top that.
I don't know. I don't know. You're a creative dude. There could be something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning on making anything else after this, or once this is done, you know, taking a bit of a leave, you know, I've done my part, you know, sort of thing?
I was originally planning on doing that, but now that I've gotten such a following, I don't think I can.
I was about
Plus,
to...
I have an idea for a series. I'm gonna do like Tid's Trains, where it's just my model train collection, I guess, where I just showcase each engine.
You have a really nice collection too. Like, so I honestly feel like that would be
double soon because I got a massive lot.
Yeah, that freaking lot. Yeah, I know. You lucky man. Lucky bastard.
I'll send you some if you want.
I honestly might have to take you up on that. Whenever you get an old slow coach, let me know. I will pay you top dollar.
All right.
Okay, so this last question is, I wanted to save this one for last because it's honestly one that I feel like the fandom, when somebody brought this up, I really personally enjoyed the intricacy of it. And it is a question that you might find hard to answer, and I apologize for that. But it is, you know, one that I still think you might enjoy. Mutated Oliver. Canonically, can he whip in Nene?
Oh, totally. He can do more than whip in Nene. He can dab. He can do anything.
Boys,
look in the. Oh, that's the wrong GIF. I was gonna post that.
This is not a whip or a Nene, Connor.
But he can do the what's it called? The stick bug.
The stick bug. You know what? That works. I still love him.
Yeah, he can do anything. He got 8 leg. He can do whatever.
8 leg.
He don't need rails like you.
He just walk.
Walking the walk and talking the. Well, he can't talk. But he can do one of those things.
Right. That was technically the last question, but I have one more, just because it just came into my head.
Yeah.
I'm sure, being the creator of Sodor Fallout, you've seen, like, the, I can't remember the name of the channel right now. Somebody showed it to me, but they had made a remake of the Oliver chase with Percy.
Yes, the animation.
Yes, the animation's amazing one, too. That one is so cool. I'm going to link that along with this. But the Tomy trains.
Yes.
That's the one that I saw more recently.
I love that dude. His stuff is like that. His remake of Edward. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is good.
I didn't even know there was a remake of it. I have to see that now.
He did some good stuff. Back when Fallout was starting to get traction again, and even now.
Again, when did it not?
Well, like I said, it died out for like a few months in the early 2020. Because I just stopped making content for it for a bit. That's when I was rethinking the series, and then I came back in like August to do it. Just walk into Twitter, open your lunch bag, Throw out an Oliver. There you go.
That's literally how it went.
Basically.
Well, unfortunately, that's all of the questions that I have now, man. Thank you so much for sitting down with me for 45 minutes and actually bearing with me saying right hundreds and hundreds of times. Talk to you like this, and I can't wait to see what else you got coming for us, man.
Oh, I have a lot of ideas.
A lot of...
I got streams, because I'm going to use that new model.
You're making my funnel stiff.
Oh. Don't you fucking say that ever again.
So, you want to go play Roblox?
Yeah, we can get a play Roblox.
That's a bet. That's how I'm ending this. Sodor Fallout OC. Sodor Fallout OC.
It's actually working
The flying
really
top
well.
man.
What the hell? We're going too fast.
Faster! We need more speed.